You're watching A News. I'm Leila Masimova. Here are the top stories for today. The UK announces a new deal to fund air defense missiles for Ukraine worth $2 billion. Egypt says Gaza reconstruction plan is ready and intensifies efforts for phase 2. The 97th Oscars concluded today. Anora takes home 5 awards. European leaders pledged to boost defense capabilities following a Ukraine summit in London on Sunday. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said some countries have outlined new defense spending plans, though details remain undisclosed. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced a £1.6 billion deal, allowing Ukraine to purchase 5,000 air defense missiles using export finance. The missiles manufactured by Thales have a range of more than 6 kilometers and can be launched from land, sea and air. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says he believes his relationship with US President Donald Trump can be salvaged despite their heated Oval Office meeting last week. He made a comment in the UK at Stansted Airport after summit with European leaders. Zelenskyy says he does not expect US aid to Ukraine to stop, but stressed that future discussions should be held behind closed doors. He also reaffirmed his willingness to sign a minerals deal with Washington, saying he believes that US will be ready to move forward.
Ми не робимо ніяких кроків назад. Це наша політика бути послідовним.
We are not making any steps back. This is our policy, to be consistent, regardless of what happened before. We are constructive. If we agreed that minerals deal with US will be signed, from our side we are ready to sign. I honestly think the United States will be ready as well. Maybe they need time to analyze some things. I think our relations with the US will continue, because this is more than relations during a certain moment. We must be open. Ukraine is not the biggest country in the world, but everyone can see how it fights for its independence and freedom. We count on assistance from the United States of America, without a doubt. I think stopping such assistance will only help Putin. And because of that, I think the United States and representatives of the civilized world, leaders of this world, definitely won't help Putin.
Ukrainians in Kyiv are hopeful but cautious after President Zelensky's tense meeting with Donald Trump. Many say peace talks are necessary as concerns grow over US support.
Following Zelensky's meeting with Trump, Ukrainians remain divided on what comes next. Some say diplomacy is necessary, while others worry about Washington's stance.
Every war ends by negotiations, and sooner or later, there will be talks. Unfortunately, this is what history teaches us. On the bright side, this would mean that people stop dying.
Others say Ukraine must stand firm in defending its interests, regardless of international pressure.
I want to believe that the American administration is now past its emotional and turbulent peak. With time, the situation will calm down, Trump will calm down a bit more, and the negotiation process will be in a better state.
We need to first of all defend our Ukrainian interests, our independence and our territorial integrity. Of course, it'd be best if we did this diplomatically, but other ways are fine too, as long as we don't give up our interests.
While uncertainty remains, Ukrainians say their country's future must be decided on their own terms.
Russia has praised US President Donald Trump on his plan to end the war in Ukraine. They have also accused European powers of seeking to prolong the conflict. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that whilst Washington and Moscow do not agree on everything, they have agreed to be pragmatic when interests coincide. Lavrov also dismissed the European idea of sending in a contingent of European peacekeepers. He added that Russia has no trust in Ukraine after the collapse of the Minsk agreement, with doubts over the rights of Russian speakers under the European peacekeepers' plans.
Trump, he is a pragmatist. His slogan is common sense. Of course, it means, and everybody already sees it, a shift to a different way of doing things. But the goal is still MAGA, make America great again. He's got a new cap now. Everything that Trump promised, he did. You see, this gives politics a lively human character. That's why it's interesting to work with him.
A residential building in Kharkiv was struck by a drone Sunday evening, injuring at least a dozen people. Meanwhile, Russian forces say it launched attacks targeting Ukraine's military infrastructure.
Late on Sunday night, a drone struck a multi-story residential building in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, injuring 8 people according to the local mayor. Ihor Terekov wrote on Telegram that the fire on the top floor spread to several apartments. According to him, none of the injured required hospitalization. Ukrainian military officials say there were 72 battles in frontline areas, varying in intensity, particularly in the Pokrovsk region. Ukrainian forces say they repelled 3 Russian attacks in Chasiv Yar and other locations, and 14 attacks in the Kursk region. Meanwhile, Russia's Ministry of Defense say that Russian forces targeted Ukraine's military airport infrastructure and natural gas processing facilities that support Ukraine's military capabilities. Additionally, Russian forces say it repelled several Ukrainian attacks and launched offensives in the directions of Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Luhansk. Several Ukrainian soldiers were killed and wounded, and infantry combat vehicles, artillery, and other equipment were destroyed.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that Canada will have a strong and equivocal proportional response to tariffs that US President Donald Trump is expected to impose on Canada this week. Trudeau says that his government is continuing to work to do everything possible to make sure there are no tariffs imposed. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says that tariffs on Canada and Mexico will go into effect on Tuesday. However, he says that Trump has not confirmed whether he will uphold that planned 25% level. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelatif says Egypt's Gaza reconstruction plan is ready and will be presented at the Arab Summit on Tuesday. The plan aims to keep Palestinians in their land with international support. Arab states oppose President Donald Trump's plan for U.S. control of Gaza and Palestinian resettlement. Abdelatif reaffirmed Egypt's efforts to maintain the ceasefire and start the next phase of negotiations. After the summit, an Organization of Islamic Cooperation ministerial meeting in Saudi Arabia will push for global recognition of the summit's decisions.
There is a ceasefire agreement consisting of 3 phases. We have finished the first phase. We must implement the remaining obligations and enter into rapid negotiations to discuss the second phase of the ceasefire agreement. I have also briefed the European Union Commissioner about the Egyptian Arab Islamic plan that will be adopted for reconstruction while the Palestinians remain in their places and on their land, and the importance of starting immediate early recovery programs followed by the planned reconstruction.
Tensions over Gaza ceasefire continue, with disagreements between Israel and Hamas stalling further progress. Aid deliveries have become a key point of contention, adding pressure to ongoing negotiations. Meanwhile, mediators are being urged to step in as both sides remain firm on their demands.
Israel restricted aid trucks from entering Gaza on Sunday as tensions over the ceasefire escalated. Hamas urged Egyptian and Qatari mediators to step in. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar claimed that large amounts of aid were already in Gaza, possibly controlled by Hamas. He stated that Israel would not allow further aid shipments or continue negotiations without progress on hostage releases.
Altogether, you have a huge number of trucks entered last 42 days to Gaza Strip. They have huge amounts of humanitarian aid there, probably in the hands of Hamas. It became its number one financial income for Hamas during that time. And they are not going to get it for free. If they will be ready to there was an American proposal, but maybe there could be another proposal, but the principles are clear. Negotiations should be connected to release of hostages.
Saar confirmed that Israel had accepted a ceasefire proposal from US envoy Steve Witkoff, covering Ramadan and Passover, but said Hamas rejected it. The truce would have paused fighting until late April, contingent on Hamas releasing half of the remaining hostages on the first day and the rest if a permanent ceasefire was agreed. Hamas insists on moving to the second phase of the original ceasefire plan, which aims for a permanent end to the conflict, rejecting any temporary extension beyond the initial 42-day truce.
The United Nations has urged the immediate restoration of humanitarian aid to Gaza. It's after Israel halted relief deliveries on Sunday. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on all sides to prevent renewed hostilities and allow aid to resume. Meanwhile, UN Relief Chief Tom Fletcher said that humanitarian workers must be granted access to deliver life-saving aid and warned of a worsening crisis. Thousands of Israelis rallied in Tel Aviv demanding the continuation of the Hamas-Israel prisoner hostage exchanges. Protesters in Hostages Square called for the release of captives still held in Gaza.
On the final day of the Gaza ceasefire, thousands of Israelis took part in weekly pro-hostage deal rallies. In Tel Aviv, demonstrators called on the Israeli government to push forward with the prisoner exchange and secure the release of those still held in Gaza. The protests followed last month's ceasefire and exchange agreement, which had temporarily halted the ongoing conflict. Protesters urged the continuation of the ceasefire agreement, emphasizing that it must guarantee the return of the hostages.
And now, when we're almost on the brink of a ceasefire, I want there to say peace, because things are still chaotic, but we were so close. And now it's again in this limbo, in this chaos that you can't know what will happen tomorrow, next week, or next month. It's eating you from the inside. Even if we act as everything is normal, it's crazy.
Meanwhile, the war has caused widespread devastation in Gaza, with Palestinian authorities reporting over 48,300 deaths. Families of the hostages continue to demand that negotiations proceed, stressing that time is running out for their loved ones.
Heavy rainfall in northwestern Peru has caused widespread flooding. The overflowing river has damaged infrastructure and flooded thousands of hectares of farmland. Hundreds of families in Tumbas province have been forced to evacuate. Currently, the government and military forces are working to mitigate the impact of the disaster.
Heavy rainfall in northwestern Peru has caused a river to overflow, leading to severe destruction. The natural disaster has damaged infrastructure and flooded agricultural lands. According to reports, at least 150 families in the Tumbes province have been seriously affected. In the Corrales district, images shared by local media show at least one house submerged in floodwaters, while others are surrounded by strong currents. Affected residents are struggling under difficult conditions to reach safer areas. According to the relevant authorities, the disaster has destroyed over 5,000 hectares of farmland, with banana, lemon and cereal production suffering significant damage. Officials have urged the government to declare a state of emergency to mobilise the necessary resources to the affected region as quickly as possible. Currently, the Peruvian Army and Navy are working alongside regional authorities to implement preventive measures and reduce risks.
Bitcoin surges by more than 20% after US President Donald Trump announced a new digital asset reserve plan. The rally extends beyond Bitcoin, with several Aussie cryptocurrencies also jumping in value.
Bitcoin and several other cryptocurrencies saw a sharp rise, with Bitcoin trading up by more than 20% from previous week's lows. This surge follows an announcement by US President Donald Trump regarding a new US strategic reserve for digital assets. In a post on Truth Social, Trump revealed that his January executive order on digital assets would establish a stockpile of several key cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. This marks the first time these particular digital assets were mentioned in relation to the reserve, with Bitcoin and Ether set to play central roles. This announcement sent Bitcoin soaring, flipping sentiment on the world's largest cryptocurrency, which had been on a downward trend since mid-January. The cryptocurrency's decline had been driven by disappointment, as investors had hoped Trump would loosen regulations, given his positive stance on cryptocurrency during his election campaign.
If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way. And that's what's going to happen.
However, since taking office, aside from some crypto-friendly appointments, tangible action has been limited.
Firefly Aerospace has made history, becoming the second US company successfully land a spacecraft on the moon. The uncrewed Blue Goose lander touched down early Sunday, marking a major milestone in a private sector space exploration.
The Texas-based company's Blue Ghost lander, about the size of a compact car, completed its journey after launching atop a SpaceX rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center a month and a half ago. The four-legged spacecraft carried 10 scientific payloads and landed near Mare Crisium, a large lunar basin on the moon's near side. Mission controllers at Firefly's headquarters in Austin confirmed a smooth descent as Blue Ghost entered lunar gravity and touched down at a gentle 2 miles per hour. Firefly Aerospace now joins an exclusive group of private firms reaching the lunar surface. The company follows in the footsteps of Intuitive Machines, whose Odysseus lander made a historic landing last year. So far, only 5 nations, the Soviet Union, the US, China, India and Japan, have achieved successful soft landings.
China says its winter tourism sector continues to grow at a remarkable pace. According to officials, Northeast China is leading the way, having welcomed more than 130 million visitors during the latest winter season.
China says its winter tourism industry is breaking records. Beijing says Heilongjiang province in northeast China is at the forefront of this boom. The province attracted more than 130 million visitors during the 2024 to 2025 ice and snow season, marking an impressive 18.5% increase compared to the previous year. Tourist spending in the province has soared, reaching 211 billion yuan, which is around 28 billion euros. The trade has increased by 30% year on year, according to tourism officials who say this surge in visitors and spending highlights Heilongjiang's pivotal role in driving China's winter economy. New visa-free policies for China-Russia tourist groups have also boosted cross-border travel. Nearly 900,000 inbound tourists visited the province this season, marking a significant increase from last year. Thanks to strategic policies and ongoing infrastructure improvements, other regions in China are also advancing their winter tourism sectors. Experts attribute the rapid growth of China's winter economy to a combination of resource integration, infrastructure investment, and innovative tourism policies. With strong domestic demand and growing international appeal, China says its winter tourism sector is poised to remain a global leader in the coming years.
The biggest night in Hollywood has come to a close, and the 97th Academy Awards did not disappoint. From emotional speeches to historic wins, this year's ceremony was a true celebration of storytelling and cinematic excellence. Let's take a look at the highlights and the names that made history at the Oscars 2025.
The 97th Academy Awards took place at the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles, with Conan O'Brien hosting the star-studded event.
Anora.
The biggest winner of the night was Anora, which took home the coveted Best Picture award. The director of the film, Sean Baker, also won Best Director, while Mikey Madison secured Best Actress for her powerful performance in the film.
Mikey Madison.
In the Best Actor category, Adrian Brody won for his role in The Brutalist, where he portrayed a Jewish immigrant and aspiring architect struggling to make a name for himself. The Supporting Acting Awards went to Kieran Culkin, who won Best Supporting Actor for A Real Pain.
I have to thank my wife, Jazz, for absolutely everything, for giving me.
Zoe Saldana earned Best Supporting Actress for her performance in Emilia Perez.
Zoe Saldana.
The night also celebrated international cinema, with Brazil's I'm Still Here winning Best International Feature and Latvia's Flow taking home Best Animated Feature. Meanwhile, Dune Part 2 won in the technical categories, securing Best Visual Effects and Best Sound. Wicked made history in the design categories, winning Best Production Design and Best Costume Design. At the ceremony, in a heartfelt moment, the audience also gave a standing ovation to California firefighters who have been battling severe wildfires across the state. Their bravery and dedication was highlighted.
Rio de Janeiro is alive with music, color and energy as the carnival reaches its peak. Samba schools are putting on breathtaking performances, hoping to impress both judges and crowds. Let's take a look at the highlights of the spectacular celebration.
Drums echoed through Rio de Janeiro's Sambadrome. 1,000 of Samba troupe members dazzled the crowd during the carnival festivities. The special group parades began on Sunday and ran for 3 days, featuring Rio's top Samba schools competing for the carnival championship. Judged on choreography, atmosphere, organization and singing, these elite dance schools enjoy passionate support from their communities. Opening was Unidas de Padre Miguel, a samba school that paid tribute to Ianaço, the founder of Brazil's first temple for Afro-Brazilian candomblé rituals. Renowned worldwide, Rio's carnival is famous for its vibrant street parties and extravagant parades, where thousands of performers dance with dazzling costumes in a breathtaking display of culture and artistry. Rooted in a tradition of indulgence before the Catholic season of Lent, the festival will officially conclude on Saturday, when the winning Samba schools return for a final celebratory parade at the Sambadrome.
Thanks for joining us. Keep watching A News for the latest, and we'll be back before you know it.